first step of TransTape application is always washing your chest and sides thoroughly. Use soaps that don't add extra moisturizer, rather than ones that do. After or before your shower, cut a couple pieces of TransTape. This time I'm using KT tape instead, but they both work well. I measure by the lines, and I cut on the fourth. I am cutting 8 big pieces. Here I am cutting tape for nipple guards. This will come back up soon. Make sure to round all sharp corners. It will prevent blisters and keep it from peeling faster. Once you are done cutting, take your tape and tear the paper covering the adhesive. These are the anchors. There's one on either side of the tape. It is very important to not stretch the anchors while applying tape. It will come up if you stretch the tape on the very edges. I like to make the anchor that lays on my side a little longer just for extra support. Here I am ripping the paper of a little extra tape I cut. You'll see how I use it later. Now I am preparing the nipple guards. Some use band-aids, some use pasties, and some use plain old toilet paper. Just use what feels right for you. I cut the folded toilet paper in half and then round the corners like before. These will protect your nipples. Do not get tape on your nipple. It will not be fun. Here's all the tape I will be using. For reference, I am a D-DDD cup or a FA cup. This is how the nipple covers should look. Just the toilet paper over your nipple and the tape on your skin. You can make these smaller or bigger if needed. This is milk of magnesia. I have very sensitive skin, so I use this as a skin barrier. You may or may not need a skin barrier. Some people do fine without one and others don't. I apply a thin layer all over my chest and sides. Waiting for it to dry is definitely the worst part. Having a fan helps a bunch though. After it dries, I wipe away excess powder. Now it's time for taping. Remove the first anchor and put it right where your tissue begins. Go from the top to bottom when taping. It gives more realistic results. Try to pull out any folds in the tape you see before, fully pressing it down. Then rub it so the adhesive activates. Do you see where I would put the first piece of tape? On this side, the top of the tape would line up where the tissue starts, and the side would also line up with it. Now I remove the middle piece of paper. This is where you will stretch the tape. For larger chests, lean down when applying and use your hand to push/fold it to your side. Hold down where the middle of the tape ends and the last piece of paper starts, and remove the last piece of paper and then lay the anchor down. My skin is that color because of the milk of magnesia. It leaves a powdery white substance behind. A lot of extra rubbing because it makes my mind worry less about it coming up. Continue to lay the tape down where you see the tissue. Poke out extra, right where it begins. It should begin lower now because we are pushing the tissue lower and into the side by taping this way. Also, it is common to need more tape on one side than the other. For example, I use one extra big piece on this side and those 2 smaller pieces. Is it noticeable where I need to put the next piece? My chest starts to poke out again more right here. I always do top to bottom because it makes the top flatter and more realistic. Little wrinkles are fine, just try not to get any big ones. Now I will use a smaller piece of tape. I cut to smooth out this little bit of fat that gets pushed out because it looks odd when I wear a t-shirt. If a bit of tissue gets pushed up again and makes it look round again, just repeat the process of putting the tape where the tissue sticks out. And for top to bottom again, layering is often needed for larger chests. Tape should not hurt after you put it on. Do not let the end anchor go all the way to your back because it will compress your ribs that way. I've used tape for a long time, so I typically do not use a mirror to apply it, but it can really help when you're just getting the hang of it. If you're a beginner at tape, please try not to get overwhelmed. It's frustrating to try to use tape when you're new to it. The first time I tried, I used a whole roll of tape for mediocre results. I was very upset, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. Now for me, I have found 2 smaller pieces help me a lot in trying to shape the end of my chest into a pec shape. It takes trial and error to find out what perfectly works for you. Give yourself a lot of grace in the beginning. You can pull the paper from the other side if needed as well. Here's a good example of where I would lay my next piece of tape. I keep my tape on 2 to 3 days because I will develop blisters otherwise, but typically people wear it for 3 to 5 days. If it ever completely stops causing me problems if I wear it too long, then I will be using it 4 to 5 days at a time. Make sure to give your skin breaks when needed, at least a day per week, but it's better if you can do 2. I also use Aquifer on my chest when I take my tape off because tape dries my skin out. It can also help if you have a blister. Do remember cis men do not have completely flat chests either, especially if you are larger. They will not have just skin and then ribs. There will be a good amount of tissue under the skin. Happy taping. I hope this helped some.